so much to their village. But more than that, they can create new job fields, which is very essential for demographic bonus. So the plans that I was stating from here are all sunshines and rainbows. But however, there's actually more to that. In order to have vocational education and a quality education, we must ensure allocations of funding. There needs to be enough investment. And on ensuring allocations, we must be able to ensure that there are transparency between the governments and us, so we can ensure that these fundings are allocated properly in order to maximize our education. Now, however, as I am not a law student, nor am I a political student, I do not know the details, unfortunately. But as a mere student, what I can do is that I can raise awareness. I can raise awareness about bonus demographic, and I can raise awareness about the need, the urgency to have specific skills in order to cultivate our specific natural resources. I can do so by social medias, webinars, infographic. There's so much platforms these days. So we must remember, Indonesia is rich. In fact, Indonesia is so rich that it'll be a shame if we do not substantiate enough demographic bonus. We do not need jack of all trades. We need specializations. We need those who can cultivate the specific natural resources. We do not need followers. We need leaders who are able to create new job fields for other unemployment citizens. We do not need initiatives. We need creative minds and advocacies so that they can make the most of the natural resources that has already been cultivated. So, as we realize this urgency, we must help to make this 5 years to our advantage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Camila, for that amazing performance. And now there will be a question from Kak Buyung.
Okay.
Kak Buyung, whenever you're ready.
Well done, Camila. I have a question on this. As you mentioned in your speech that vocational education is one of the ways to maximize our demographic bonus. But maybe you know that in vocational education it covers vocational school and vocational tertiary education, and we have a lot of majors. You said that we need specialization, but currently, if you look closer at the unemployment rate, the highest employment rate is contributed by people who graduated from vocational school. Why do we have to support more investment for vocational school while we see the fact that unemployment rate is contributed the highest by those who graduated from vocational school and training?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, you have 1 minute of thinking time. So you can use that time to prepare your answer first. Okay, Camila, your 1 minute of prepare is finished. You have 2 minutes to answer the question. Good luck.
Okay. So thank you, Judge, for asking the question. So my stance will be that these days, vocational studies are often overlooked because it is seem like, oh, those students who come to vocational studies are the ones who are different because they do not follow the mainstream education system, which is in Indonesia, it's either science or social science. And so that's why they're often overlooked. But actually, there could be there are some things that I need to point out. For vocational students who are, for example, are in the automotive studies, when they graduate, they can actually produce more, and they actually have more understanding than like say a normal high school graduate who follows the science stream. So, but what is the fault here, right? You're asking why are they the most unemployed? So, to my understanding, I feel like it's because they are not guided properly. So the education that they are given is merely just the education. It's merely just the teachers giving them, but they do not teach how they can give back to Indonesia. So if they can give back to Indonesia, imagine how those automotive students are able to, create machines when they create machines to cultivate farmers, for example, once they graduated. They can like so easily blend in to the needs of Indonesia these days through their education, the specific educations that they have attained. So if they are able to, be guided on how they can practice these educations, these knowledge, it will bring so much benefit to Indonesia. And this is why we need investments, because education and vocational education has proven itself to not be effective. So we need to further construct the educational system of the vocational education. That's why we need investment, because it's not yet in the right path. And we need more understanding of that. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Camila. So your 2 minutes is up, and that is all. Thank you, Kak Buyung, for the question as well. And congratulations, Camila. You can relax now in the main room. You finished your performance.
Thank you.
Yep, that is truly a wonderful speech, Camila. So for the next participant, we will have Made Jayantari delivering the concite for the first motion. So we shall wait for Made Jayantari to join the main room. Okay, Made Jayantari is already here. Made, are you prepared already? Okay, here she is.
Is my voice clear enough?
Yep.
Is it too loud or too small?
I think it is clear for me. Judges? Is it clear enough for you guys?
Yeah, I think it should be clear
Okay.
enough.
Okay, I think it's clear. Okay, Made, the timer will begin anytime you begin your speech. So good luck, and time is yours.
The existence of vocational education plays an important role in a country's education development. However, there is a part that is so much more important than vocational education, especially when it comes to utilizing bonus demography to reach Indonesia's 2045 golden year. Good morning, respected judges, to all of the committees and fellow contestants. I am Madi Jayantari, and in this final stage, I will be speaking on the topic of preparing Indonesia's bonus demography to achieve 2045 golden year through developing vocational education, in which position I am opposing this point of view. Ladies and gentlemen, what exactly is a demographic bonus, you may ask? Well, demography dividend, or commonly called as demographic bonus, is a condition in which the productive age population is more than the non-productive population. Demographic dividend can't be said as a bonus unless the productive population are able to get decent education and facility to improve their self-quality. So at the end of the day, they could equalize the amount of gap dependency between the productive and non-productive population. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in our status quo, vocational education seems to concern us the most. Well, we must agree that vocational institutions prepare their students to face work fields in a particular learning method, which is, yes, effective, good, and valid. But the thing that we have been concerned about, ladies and gentlemen, has never been the solution or approach that we need to highlight in the very first place. Just like what I've said in the beginning, there is amazing pieces that is so much more important than developing vocational education, which are increasing quality education and opening wider access to employment possibilities. First thing first is quality education. Demographic bonus is all about number of people. We are talking about quantity, right? So the most important thing is to first equalize that number with quality. Through this, we could have a large amount of population with critical ways of thinking, creative minds, and numerous abilities to face the work fields. Enhancing quality education does not only apply in vocational institutions, but instead in every education level in general. Second is opening wider access to employment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what if what if we have millions of productive population came with a set of abilities, but there is no existing work fields? What is the point of putting so much effort in enhancing quality education if the number of unemployment in our country keep on increasing each and every single year? This is another issue that we need to highlight in order to achieve 2045 golden year, ladies and gentlemen. The government are the one who plays the most important part above anyone else. It is written inside Undang-Undang Dasar tahun 1945 that the government must ensure its citizens to have proper jobs and enough work fields. There are multiple choices that we could take, such as establishing webinars or seminars in a national scale, or even signing an agreement with other countries to distribute our human resources, which also means opening wider access to employment. To conclude this discussion or conversation, ladies and gentlemen, we are not trying to be superior by comparing how opposing this motion is so much better than opposing it. Just as what Kak Buyun said in the development round, both sides of the house deserve its own approaches and problem-solving methods. It has its own unique ways of understanding in their different ways. However, through enhancing quality education and opening wider access to employment, we are being more rational, targeted in achieving our goal. We need to open our mind and reflect to what issue and what approach should we take to achieve our goal. Vocational education is indeed important. It is valid and yes, effective. But again, there is so much more important things that we need to highlight upon, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in the 21st century. We are living in an era where technology and development is important. So it is time for us to have orientation to the future. We shall not let any issue or approaches that shall not be highlighted came to our status quo. We should be targeted and racial. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of my speech. And I would like to send my deepest gratitude to all the very supportive judges, contestants, and committees. Thank you, and thank you, IREC 2021.
Okay, thank you to Madis and Tati. So for now, Kak Mega will give you one question regarding your performance. For Kak Mega, floor is yours.
Okay. Hello, Madhujantari. I have questions for your speech here. So basically, what you just delivered is why the vocational school is not the most important sector compared to the other thing that we need to focus for this demography bonus thing in Indonesia. And then also related to your arguments that the importance of having the work field more to distribute the manpower or the human resources distribution. I also want to understand your perspective compared to the students from the vocational school where they actually really learn about the specific skills. So after they graduate, they can just like directly work on the field, right? So how about from the general school that most of them are just actually learning theoretical? So let's say that the work field are there, but then the human resources are not ready and they are not even understand what are the real challenge for the work industry. So what do you think about this part? And also, I didn't really see you touch this point on your speech, so I think you can explain your point of view for this aspect.
Okay, Madi, you have 1 minute thinking time and 3 minutes to answer later. Good luck. Okay, Madi, 1 minute thinking time is over. So now you may deliver your answer to Kak Mega. You have 2 minutes time.
Okay, so thank you for the question. But first, I want to clarify that Kak Mega's question is what if my arguments and approach are truthfully backfiring my speech? Is that true?
Just I need more explanation and elaboration about how the general school result, the student result, will also be ready for the work field, for the competition, compared to the vocational school students who are actually learning the specific skills and they can directly work after they graduate.
Yes, thank you. So the question is about how we could equalize the general school to have the same possibilities as much as how vocational students could have to face the work field. So the answer is really simple. When we're talking about abilities, we're not talking about that students came from. It's not about whether that student is from vocational school or it's not about whether they came from general school. Every student abilities is different. That's why when I elaborated my approach about opening wider access to employment, I did not draw a contrast line whether this approach is effective for only general students or only vocational students, because when we're talking about abilities, it's all about a person's own abilities. it is not based on whether they came from. And I hope that answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Made, for your performance and your answer. I wish you the best of luck. So for now, you can stay in the main room, and we will call to the next participant. Thank you.
Okay, so the next participant will be Janice Gaitsa Amper from SMA 2 Tangerang Selatan, and she will be presenting the motion, The Relevance of Digital Literacy and Education for Marginalized Communities and Indigenous Groups, and she will present a stand supporting that motion. Okay, so as we wait for Janice, okay, I think she's already here with us. Okay, she's already here. Are you ready, Janice?
Yes.
Okay, you may prepare yourself, and whenever you're ready, you may start. Good luck.
When I was 9 years old, my family took me on a trip to Baduy. You see, it is an experience that I keep very dearly to my heart until this day, because I was so shocked. I was in awe and amazed at the fact that there are still people out there that are so in touch with their cultural beliefs, with their values, and with their laws. Baduy is one out of the 208,000 indigenous groups in Indonesia itself. It is located in Banten, and basically they still believe in a world with no technology. Indigenous group means the first group of people to live in the area. And when I went home that day, I couldn't help but wonder, how do the kids, the young minds, the future generation studies? Because when I was there, I was able to see people my age, and I can't help but wonder, what do they learn and how do they learn? So when March 2020 first came around, students nationwide was forced to study at home with their devices and improve their digital literacy. So what about for indigenous groups? Do they need to learn how to use technology? Is it relevant for them? Yes. Yes, it is. So you see, times are changing. Technology is getting advanced day by day. At this point, at this rate, technology is no longer the future, but it is the present. So there should be no exception. And one misconception that we have is that because we rarely see or hear about indigenous groups, or rather that we don't try to educate ourselves about indigenous groups, in our mindset, we think that they are a minority. But this is false. There's actually about 50 to 70 million indigenous citizens in Indonesia itself. So because of that, they also play a crucial part in the country's economic growth, meaning that the government must find a solution to improve their digital literacy as well as the quality of their education. Now, in indigenous education, there's actually a term that's coined by an Indonesian land right activist called the science of leaving, where basically indigenous people, they are taught and shamed into having an identity crisis, and into thinking that to be successful, the only way is for you to leave the village to pursue higher education in the city. And then hence, you see, they don't go back to their village after they're done. But with the technology that is available now, with the devices and the features that are available now, it is not necessary for them anymore to leave the village to pursue knowledge. They can do it in the comfort of their own homes as well as their own village. And you see, with this as well, the government can use the fundings instead of building schools in the areas, but they can use it to build or make the internet access wider or easier for people. And it is also way cheaper. So by the time 2045 arrives, which is when Indonesia is expected to be the fourth strongest economic power in the world, because of the greater number of citizens that are in the working age group, the indigenous citizens, they'll be able to play their part into making it come true. Now, if they're able to receive a greater quality of education and they can improve their digital literacy, they will be more qualified, more skilled, more prepared for work life, meaning that they will earn more income. Hence, at the end, they'll have a better economic situation. But obviously, you see, because of the crucial cultural barriers that we have with them, things like this, it can't happen overnight. It might take months or even years of consultations and socialization for them to actually agree to such terms. But this is the government's job. The government, they must find a solution or a common ground that allows them to implement technology and increase their quality of education. For example, one thing that the government can do is they must create a contextual system or a curriculum that is based for each indigenous groups, because in each indigenous groups, obviously they live in different areas, they face different problems, right? This will be very hard to implement, yes, but nothing that research can't help with. You see, they should also ask one of their own or one of the elders to be the teacher, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how deep we dug their roots, their ancestry, how much research we do. That does not matter. At the end of the day, they themselves know what's best for them. They are the ones that have been through that. They have been the ones that have been living through their situation. So they know what's best. They know what they need to survive, and they know what the future generation needs. With digital literacy as well, you see, this helps indigenous groups to promote the awareness of problems that they might be facing. This will help educate Indonesians nationwide. For example, problems like the injustice treatment that was given to a group in Kalimantan when they were forced to move from their village due to an oil company. Indigenous groups, they live a very different life from us. But you see, that doesn't mean that the government doesn't need to prepare them for the future, prepare them for work life. They can't be dependent anymore on their parents, but it's actually the other way around, when their parents are dependent on them at the working age group. You see, indigenous education is an education system that is strongly based on their values and beliefs. With the help of technology and the devices that are available now, this will only help improve the skills, qualifications for them to be a top-notch human resource, or a top-notch worker in the years to come. My name is Janice Amper. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Janice, for that wonderful speech. And now I give the floor to Miss Leah to ask the question for Janice.
Hi, Janice. Such a great job. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on your arguments. However, as we know, when we introduce digital literacy to the indigenous groups, it means that we are also bringing globalization to them. And as we all know, globalization is not always, well, a good thing for indigenous people, because as we know right now, we see the same movies, we hear the same music, we eat the same food because of globalization and the digital literacy. And some people actually think that this will tame the cultural and societal bonds that they have with their communities. What do you think? Don't you think it will slowly erase the originality and uniqueness that are part of the identity for the indigenous communities?
Okay, so you have 1 minute of thinking time. You may use that time to prepare your answer first.
Thank you for the question. I would like to answer now. Is that okay?
Absolutely okay. You have 2 minutes. Good luck.
Okay, so I think questions like this is very opinionated based, and to every different person, they're obviously going to give a different answer. But in my opinion, I know that with globalization, you're obviously going to see different movies that are, and music, like you said, that could help erase or change their mindset in a bad way. But the thing is, at this point, technology is, like I said, it is in the present day, and it needs to be implemented to everyone. They need to learn technology, and it will be hard, but since since the times are changing, it is very crucial because obviously now and in the years to come, people or citizens, they need to be able to use technology to be an asset or to work or to even have a job, right? And if indigenous people or indigenous groups, they don't want to learn technology, this will just help decrease their chances of getting a job and earning income, which means that they will have a poor economic situation, which is not good as well. And I think a way for them to kind of help maybe make sure that the culture doesn't get erased completely is obviously there's going to be the elders, right? Obviously, the elders at this point, that are not in the working age group, they'll be there to remind their kids or their grandchildren that there must be a boundary at some point. Like they will be there to remind them. So I think there maybe it could happen. It could happen, but but I think implementing technology is something that needs to be done. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Janice, for that wonderful question. And thank you for Ms. Leah for asking that quite substantive but also innovative question. So after this, we'll move on to the next participant.
Yep. So for the next participant, we will have Albert Julius Ramahalim. So we will wait for Albert to come into the main room.
Okay, so Albert will be presenting the same motion as Janice, but he will be on the opposing side. So he will be presenting against the relevance of digital literacy and education for marginalized communities and indigenous groups. Okay, I think Albert is on his way to the main room. Okay, hi Albert. Whenever you're ready, you can start your performance. Good luck.
Technology. It's the pinnacle of human society. It's what enables us humans to do a bunch of cutting-edge advancements. That being said, are we all sure that we are not being enslaved by technology? It's already inseparable from our lives. Does that mean we can't live without it? Does that mean everyone on Earth should, as soon as possible, adapt technology in their lives, as it is the only way to continue living? One size fits all, they say. Is that true? Good morning to all the honorable judges and all the audience who are here in the Zoom and who are watching the live stream on YouTube. My name is Albert, and today I'd like to talk about how digital literacy and education is irrelevant to marginalized communities and indigenous groups. First of all, I would like to refresh and remind everyone, what are marginalized communities? Marginalized communities are communities who experience marginalization from society due to having a different property, such as race, religious beliefs, etc. Meanwhile, indigenous groups are the people who are native to an area, which is later inhabited by another group of people, including by colonization, migration, and settlement. It's a sad truth that these groups are more often than not removed from society in a sense. They receive less accommodation from the government and very little access to education, modern healthcare, and other modern services. This is partly because of the remote locations of their settlements. Efforts have been made to help their conditions, but new problems all across the world come to light from time to time. Now then, you might be wondering, why digital literacy and education is not relevant to these marginalized communities and indigenous groups. They are already in such an unfavorable position in modern society under today's governments of the world. So why? Remember, one size does not fit all. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many more unsolved problems regarding these communities. One of the most important problems is that the technology itself is irrelevant. The societies of these communities are still very much nature oriented. They live among Mother Nature. Thus, it's not a very wise approach to immediately digitalize all of them. It is possible, but it won't solve their problems. Their problems are different from our urban problems. For example, lack of natural resources in their area, the logging of forests, and climate change that is a threat to their crops, which they need for their lives. Another point is that the hasty introduction of technology will cause cultural shock. Their rich cultures cannot be accommodated by technology alone, as well as there will be separation in their generations. The elders in these communities might be conservative and reluctant to adopt technology that do not align with their values of their groups. Meanwhile, youngsters are more easily educated digitally, but they are also more easily losing their sense of their belonging. They will get lost in no man's land, swerving between modern society and their own community, because many people in the outside world are still discriminative and individualized. So, what's the solution to all these problems if we can't use technology, you might ask? First, we need to introduce carefully tailored curricula in their education. We need to preserve
Okay, it seems that Albert is experiencing some connection issues. So I think we'll wait for
each and
Albert.
every culture and tradition.
Hello, Albert. So sorry.
Did
I
I
think
freeze?
yeah, you lost your connection. You were reconnecting for a moment. Would you like to
Oh.
continue with your speech, or do you want to start over?
Could
Maybe.
I start over from the beginning and the timer will restart then?
You want to start over?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's fine. We'll start the timer from the beginning.
Okay. Okay, hopefully there won't be any problems this time.
Yes, hopefully it'll be more stable. Good luck.
Thank you. Technology. It's the pinnacle of the human society. It's what enables us to do a bunch of cutting edge advancements. It's inseparable from our lives. That being said, are we sure that we are not being enslaved by technology? Does that mean we can't live without it? Does that mean everyone on Earth should, as soon as possible, adopt technology as it is the only way to continue living? One size fits all, they say. Is that true? Good morning to all the honorable judges and the audience who are here in the Zoom and who are watching the live stream on YouTube. My name is Albert, and today I'd like to talk about how digital literacy and education is irrelevant for marginalized communities and indigenous groups. Firstly, I would like to refresh and give a reminder. Marginalized communities are communities who experience marginalization from society due to having a different property, such as race or religious beliefs. Meanwhile, indigenous groups are the people who are native to an area which is later inhabited by another group of people, such as by colonization, migration, or by settlement. It's a sad truth that these groups are more often than not removed from society in a sense. They receive less accommodation from the government, they get very little access to education, modern healthcare, and other modern services. Efforts have been made to help their condition, but new problems come to light all around the world from time to time. Now then, you might be wondering why digital education and literacy is not relevant to these marginalized communities and indigenous groups, as they are in such an unfavorable position in modern society under today's governments. So why? Remember, one size does not fit all. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many more unresolved problems regarding these communities. The first and most important one is that the technology itself is irrelevant. The societies of these communities are still very much nature oriented. They live among nature, Mother Nature. Thus, it's not very wise to immediately digitalize. It is possible, but it won't solve their problems. Their problems are different from our urban problems. Their problems include lack of natural resources, the logging of the forests in their settlements, and climate change that destroys their crops. Another point is that the hasty introduction of technology, digital literacy, and modern education will cause cultural shock. For example, technology cannot possibly accommodate all of their rich cultures. There are limits to what it can do. For example, there are a lot of dying and endangered languages from their groups as of now. They also experience separation of generation. Elders in some of these groups might be conservative and reluctant to adopt technology, while youngsters are easily educated. However, these youngsters can lose their sense of belonging. They can get lost in no man's land, swerving between modern society and their own community. Because as we all know, the outside world for them is very discriminative, very individualized. So, what's the solution to all these problems if we can't use technology, you might ask? Well, we can introduce carefully tailored curricula according to the needs of each and every group of these individual communities. We need to remember to preserve culture and tradition of each group. Also, we have one big homework for us. We need to change our mindset of the nation and of the society as a whole, that these groups should not be marginalized. Including each of us, we should change our trains of thought. We need to integrate or include all of these groups so that all of us can coexist peacefully in the future. So, we have come full circle, judges and all the audience. We've covered why digital literacy isn't relevant to these marginalized communities and indigenous groups. There are several problems, such as the irrelevance of technology in their very nature-based way of living. They have problems that can't merely be solved by digitalization. The risk of losing their cultural heritage, and even worse, losing a generation of these people in favor of standardized society. We also know some of the solutions: integration of their culture to education and changing the mindset of the people. I'd also like to give a reminder that the one-size-fits-all approach certainly does not work for technology and for education, especially concerning these marginalized communities and indigenous groups. Technology isn't something that can solve all of our problems just by itself. Lastly, I'd like to ask all the judges and all the audience to think about what the ideal society in the future would be like. Is it a conformed society where everyone goes through the exact same ways the exact same education and services in life. Everyone becomes one entity as a whole, with no individual heritage, with no individual culture. Or would you all prefer a society which is diverse, with many different cultures living among each other, with individualized education, individualized services, governmental services especially, tailored to each and every one of their needs? And every individual can express their thoughts and their culture freely to everyone. If we can choose the better option, which is the latter, why not? Let's make our own country and the world better in diversity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Albert, for your speech. So now Kak Buyung will give you one questions based on your performance. For Kak Buyung, time is yours.
Hi, Albert. Well done. Albeit the connection problems, you managed to deliver a full speech exclusively and extensively. Very well done on that. My question is, if you said that technology and education, digital literacy and technology is not relevant to them, but we can't deny that we live in the era of technology. Even for the most basic rights, for example, a national identity card, you need to, in order to apply, you need to fill some online forms and things like that. If these kind of things are not introduced to them, just to get the basic rights and basic services for all citizens, how wouldn't it be that those groups will be more marginalized? How is your propositions on this?
Okay, thank you Kak Buyung for the questions. Albert, you have 1 minute thinking time to prepare your answer. Good luck. Okay, Albert, thinking time is over. So now you have 2 minutes to deliver your answer.
Okay, thank you for the question to Kak Buyung. I really appreciate it. So to answer the question, we have to see that our government right now thinks that technology is the only way out. It's very rushed. We can see that even for us, urban people, there are sometimes problems. Even registering the national identity card, this is a personal experience, but I had to go through some troubles, some technological troubles to even get it registered. So as we can see, the technology is not fully adapted to its maximum potential yet. There are still many things to be improved. So my proposal is that we should not make technology the only way out. The government needs to still make sure that manual input is still allowed until the government can make sure that the technology is reliable enough for everyone, not only the marginalized societies, but also to us. It can provide a reliable service. Meanwhile, the government works on increasing the reliability of the services. We can work on the several points that I mentioned in my speech regarding the marginalized communities and indigenous groups. And we can finish both of those at around the same time. So when those groups are ready to be introduced to technology, the technology we have is also reliable. So we don't have to subject those groups to the unreliability that we have now, especially for the demography related technology that you said in your question. That is my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Albert, for your answer and your performance. I wish you the best of luck for this round, and for now, you can stay in the main room while we proceed to the next participant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very well done to Albert for your performance. And now we'll be moving on to the next participant, who is Beatrice. And she will be presenting, we're moving on to the last motion, which is prospects of artificial intelligence use to support the online education of special needs children. Okay, so maybe we'll wait for Beatrice to join us in the main room. Okay, I think Beatrice is already here with us. Are you already ready to start your speech?
Yeah.
Okay, you can prepare yourself and start whenever you're ready. Good luck, Beatrice.
Great, thank you. Let us take a look at ourselves in the mirror. What do we see? Well, at the current state of the world, we see some privileged kids that have online education. But we selfishly complain at how bad online education is. The fact that we don't get to see our friends, the fact that we don't get to see our teachers, the fact that we don't go to school. This is horrible, as we don't realize how many positives are going with us. For one, we are able to use learning platforms well. We're able to successfully learn and get decently good grades during our exams. Unfortunately, I can't say the exact same about people with disabilities. Greetings to my honorable judges and esteemed committee members. My name is Beatrice and I go to Stella Duswan High School in Yogyakarta. Today, I would like to talk about artificial intelligence in online education, especially for those with special needs. First and foremost, let us define the meaning of special needs. Well, in this case, we're going to be talking about those people that have a lack in learning disabilities, meaning they have a lack in reading, writing, and learning. Now, as we all know, before the COVID pandemic even hit, these people have already been struggling. They, in fact, have been excluded from the majority of us. If we compare the numbers of those disabled people that go to university, it's much less compared to us that have a great future in front of us because we don't have any learning difficulties. As you might have guessed, it has gotten progressively worse as we made the switch to online education. And this is due to the fact that there's no tailored online learning platform for special needs people to be able to understand, to be able to reach material. As you might have guessed, this makes their mental health goes worse. And mental health is such an important aspect when we're talking about people with special needs. These people already have to go to therapy, and in a situation like this, their parents can't even sometimes give them the support that they need. This is why Guru Belajar didn't work. This is one of the government's initiatives by the MOEC to teach teachers the basic skills on how they can tackle teaching people with special needs. Unfortunately, it didn't work because disabled people aren't like a one-size-fits-all type of matter. As I mentioned beforehand, many of these disabled people have a variety in what they lack: reading, writing, and listening, which is why Guru Belajar didn't work. Now, this is where the role of artificial intelligence comes in. First and foremost, let us set the basis foundation of how artificial intelligence will work. We first must use the government solution, Guru Belajar, and work together with them to implement artificial intelligence in online education, especially for those with special needs. It has a ton of positives. The first one being that it's a much cheaper option because Guru Belajar is already funded by the government. And so this will be just like a little bonus. If we're trying to help the citizens of Indonesia, then we should also help these people with special needs. It brings a ton of positives, which the second one is that it's personalized and tailored and customized to these people with special needs. What I mean by that is that sometimes if we take a look at people with disabilities, they like something to the T. For example, sometimes people with disabilities, like they have autism, they will like Antarctica, and they will start researching all about these penguins and igloos. So with this artificial intelligence, they are given the option to fully customize and personalize their online learning platform. Furthermore, if it's tailored, it means that it is structurally good for these kids because it exactly matches on what they need. As I mentioned beforehand, this is very important. Each disability has its own specific sets of needs that need to fulfill. And with artificial intelligence, it can definitely help. Furthermore, artificial intelligence makes these children understand the material better as they go at their own pace. What I mean by that is if we switch to regular online platforms, we're in a class full of many people. And sometimes they understand, but the people with special needs have a lack of understanding. And so therefore, they will compare themselves to other people, which is not a good thing. If we have this guidance on a one-on-one with the special needs people with artificial intelligent platforms, it means that these people don't have to compare themselves and they are simply focusing on themselves. This makes it a much better option and it reduces the stress and burden of the mental health for these people. Now, if we go in depth, we can see that mental health is such an important aspect of special needs education. With artificial intelligence, it gives us endless opportunities to branch out into this. What I mean by that is that we can have therapy in group sessions implemented in these artificial intelligence to raise up the mental health of these people with special needs, and we can spirit and lift their hearts up so that they are more motivated to learn. Furthermore, this is a much cheaper option compared to group therapy sessions. As we all know, with online education and COVID-19, a lot of parents have lost their jobs. This is an important aspect as if we look at disabled people, their parents might beforehand be able to pay for group therapy sessions, but after the pandemic hit, they have been limited to these sessions, these very expensive sessions. It becomes a much better option as finally the children can talk about what they are feeling. Now, let us address the timeline of how exactly this will work and how to make this program more robust. First, it will be split up into two sections. The first phase will be an experimental phase, where we will slowly start implementing artificial intelligence with a bunch of government initiatives to make sure that it starts working. In order for that, we can have assessment tools for them to see, oh yeah, this child is actually understanding the material. And then from then on, we can move on to phase two, where we can implement this in more and more cities and countries for people with disabilities and people with special needs. So to reiterate my speech, the state of online education for people with special needs is extremely bad. They don't understand the material and their mental health is gotten increasingly worse. It's a constant and overlooked problem with us becoming so selfish and thinking that our own needs are more important than the other. And instead, this is not the case. We should start making urgent change right now, because if we want the future of the country to become better, then we have to start focusing on these people with special needs as they have endless potential. This is in order to solve that, we need artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has many positives and has endless opportunities. People can visualize stuff in order for them to learn better. It's a much cheaper option because we're already working with government initiatives, and it's tailored and specific to each and every single person with different special needs. Thank you for listening to this speech. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity that you have given to me to speak in the grand final of IREC 2021. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Okay, that was very impressive. Thank you so much, Beatrice. And now we'll move on to the question. I think Kak Mega will deliver the question to you this time. Over to you, Kak Mega.
Yes. Okay, hello Beatrice, well done. I have a question for you. So basically we are talking about the prospect about the AI usage for the special needs children. So I will position myself, let's say, as the government side, because you also mentioned that the several steps that we can do for this implementation is first, we do the trial first, right? The experimental stage, collaboration with the government initiative. Of course, from the government side, I also need to think I will spend a lot of budget for this thing, right? So can you also convince me as the government side elaborate with some data that you have, like how is the urgency for creating this one, like how big is the population in Indonesia with these special needs, and also how will impact the future generation of our country in significant way, and also how this also will touch the differentiation between the pattern of the parents' existence, because I think now the special needs children, they will really need special help from their parents on online school situation, right? Like the parent needs to accompany them next to them and something like that. So if we implement this, is it going to be like impactful for the simplicity for the parent side, and also how it will create a better life for everyone in Indonesia? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kamega, for the question. Beatrice, you now have 1 minute of thinking time. Okay, I think your time to think is up. Whenever you're ready, you can present your answer. You have 2 minutes to answer.
Thank you, Judge Mega, for your questions. I would like to start off by answering the first one, which is on how we can convince the government. So first and foremost, artificial intelligence is such a wide variety of different components, and this will definitely be something that is available for the future. So we start right now by implementing it with people with disabilities, then it can sort of be an early stage for Indonesia to experiment with artificial intelligence. As we have seen in countries like Japan and China, these countries have already gone beyond the limit and improved artificial intelligence in shops and in hotels. And Indonesia, it sort of lacks that. So this can be as a motivation for the government to start making this country move forward, because in the future, AI will definitely be something that we see in everyday life. This is a good experimental stage for the government to experiment on this. Secondly, for the data and statistics, if we just see around us on how many disabled people actually go to university, we know that the number is much less than us, given the opportunity that we're able to go to university and pick a certain major that they like, because we have full learning abilities. We can learn, read, and write. And unfortunately, these disabled people don't have that. I think it's becoming quite obvious, especially in poorer areas of the world, poorer areas of Indonesia, where they're in villages and perhaps their parents don't really understand on how to teach their kids, which links to the third question on what the parents can do. So as I said, AI is full of endless opportunities. And for AI, we can always implement something that helps parents to understand what exactly is AI, how it will be helping them, and as well as that, an introductory guide to how this will work, and perhaps any consolidation if the parents have any questions, so that the parents can confide in this artificial intelligence implemented with their child. As for the second question about the future, it sort of links back to the first one, where it can be an experimental stage for the future, and the government can be more confident if they want to go on more future AI projects.
Okay, thank you so much, Beatrice. Thank you so for the answer, and congratulations on finishing your performance. You can now stay in the main room, but make sure your mic is muted. And now we'll move on to the next participant.
Yep, thank you, Beatrice. That was a wonderful speech. So now we shall move to the last participant. Also to close the third motion, we will have Laurentia Kailin Christopher from ITB. We will wait. Kailin, come to the main room.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Kailin is already here. Kailin, prepare yourself. You can start anytime you're ready. The timer will start whenever you start your speech. Wish you the best of luck.
Yes, thank you.
The advancement of technology. Technology has developed into something much more amazing these past few years. We have seen the evolution of technology as it helps us in all aspects of life. We have business, economy, politics, religion, law, and most importantly, education. Now, the use of technology in our educational lives has proven to be a very effective way of teaching students. I'm sure you all have experienced it. This pandemic leads us to having to rely on technology to keep on continuing our studies, and such as artificial intelligence. It's one of the things that technology has created. Softwares, robots, machines with a system that makes them programmed to become much more human. Not fully human, but alike to human. To be able to give lessons, education to students all over the world. We've seen the news. For example, that robot lady who teaches students. That is the example that artificial intelligence has all the resources to help and educate young people. Education, online education, thrives with AI. However, that doesn't apply to the case of children with special needs. Special needs children, they're different. Of course, I'm not trying to tell you that it's in a bad way that they are different, no. But they have something that other children their age lack. They lack something that other children have. Their abilities to convey their emotions. Maybe physical abilities, or maybe they have difficulties in education, understanding. They have difficulties in emotional, or maybe mental and behavioral ways. Their abilities to understand something, their abilities to convey what they want, what they need, it's different from other children. Now, I have a cousin. He's still 8 years old, and he's one of the children with special needs. He's a sweet boy, he really is, but he has trouble in speaking fluently. 8-year-olds his age are supposed to be able to retort to their parents. For example, when a parent asks, "Oh, did you do the dishes?" "Yes, I did, mom." Or, "Did you clean your room?" "Yes, I have done it, mom." They can answer to their parents fluently. But my cousin, he has difficulties in doing so. He also has difficulties in conveying his emotions. For example, when he's angry, he does it in a bad way. He acts up, gets angry, shouts in a very loud voice. When he's sad, he cries, rolls on the floor, and even punched me once, and he really packs a punch. What I'm trying to say is, children with special needs, they need behavioral guidance and therapy. Someone teaching them what's good, what's bad, what is right, and what is wrong. How do you act when you're angry? How do you act when you're sad? How do you act when you're happy? They need guidance like that. It is also relevant to education now, online education. Now, let's try to pair children with special needs with artificial intelligence, the topic. Now, artificial intelligence, a computer, a machine that has any resources anyone wants to find. They can educate people. They can educate these children. For example, they can show them that this is an elephant and it has 4 feet. This is a bird, it has 2 feet. Yes, they can convey information to children. But that's not enough. That's simply not enough for children with special needs. Let me tell you that online learning could pose a problem to everyone. It can cause stress, maybe even depression. It doesn't only apply to children with special needs, but it applies to us. I'm sure some of you has their fair share of struggles during online learning. Pressure of keeping up with your score, pressure of focusing during class. It's a very hard thing to do. And it's no different for them. Maybe they feel it even more than we do. What if these children with special needs, during education, they need validation? What if they need consolation, support? What if they're feeling frustrated? They're feeling frustrated, angry, sad. Are they able to consult that with artificial intelligence? With a computer? Maybe a computer, they have the ability to recognize people's emotions through their face. This person is angry. This person is happy. This person is sad. But what can they do about it? Can they give warmth to people who need it? Can they give support, emotional support to those who need it? I am sure that they can't because they're robots, not humans. My point is, children with special needs, they need human emotional support. They need warmth. They need love when they're educated. It's okay if you don't understand. I'm here to help you. It's okay if you're feeling sad. You can talk to me. It's okay if you can't do this subject. I will teach you. That is what they need. Artificial intelligence, they lack empathy. They lack emotional availability. Yes, it's a two-way process. We can speak to artificial intelligence and they can talk back, but there's no emotion. There isn't any warmth in it at all. But these children, they need them more than other people do. They need the support. They need someone they recognize. Oh, I recognize this teacher. She helps me. She teaches a lot of interesting stuff to me, and I love her. Oh, I'm becoming more motivated. I want to learn more. That is the feeling they need to feel so that online learning for them will be a much easier process. Human interaction is the key, the very crucial thing these children need during education. All in all, artificial intelligence, technology for education, it's really important and it's actually very good. It really is. But for normal students, for students who understand, who already know what they want, what they need, what they understand, and what they don't, and not for children with special needs, they need guidance. What's wrong? What's right? What's good? What's bad? How do you express your feelings? They need to understand that. And they need guidance from humans, a warmth, a loving embrace from their teachers, maybe their parents, from human interaction. Thus, I stand by my case that artificial intelligence used to support the online education is not for special needs children. For normal children, yes. But for these children, no. They need emotion, they need understanding, and they need warmth. Thank you for listening to me and do have a great day.
Okay, thank you so much, Kellen. That was a wonderful speech. So, for your performance, Miss Leah will give you one questions. So, for Miss Leah, anytime you're ready, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Kaylin. That was such a wonderful speech. And I know this is such a tough stance to take to be against introducing AI to the children of special needs, but you've done quite a good job already. However, in here, I can feel that children with special needs, we cannot really only box them into this definition, into one condition that is what you have described, because also physical disabilities that can be also included in children with special needs, right? And then if we can take a look at the future, the existence of AI can actually help them function and contribute to the society without society treating them differently. So my question is, if they are not familiarized with the concept of AI ever since then, how do you propose a way for them
Kellen, you have 1 minute thinking time. Good luck. Okay, 1 minute thinking time is over. So you have 2 minutes to deliver your answer, okay, Kaylin.
2 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, so thank you for the question, Judge Leah. And I am fully aware of what I have described during my speech. I describe it more to the mental aspect of children with special needs. But I am also very confident in my stance that, yes, artificial intelligence is very important for them to be familiarized with computers, with technology, because in the far future, that's all we're going to be exposed to. Yes, that's all what children, students are going to be exposed to because, yes, I said before, technology is advancing more and more. But I think that these children with physical and mental difficulties, they still need emotional support. Yes, artificial intelligence can give them the information. I didn't deny that. It will give them information, but they need support from teachers, whether it be from Zoom meetings, to tell them what is right or what is wrong. Because information from the internet, it's very wide, it's very broad. They can absorb it all, but some of them, they may not be good for them. So what I meant is, yes, they can be exposed to artificial intelligence as long as there is emotional support with them as well, even for the ones with physical disabilities, because they're different from others. They still can be stressed, they still can have insecurities. But with the warmth of a teacher who understands them, with the warmth of a human, yes, they can get through it. They can they can be exposed to it, but first they need to understand more about their emotions. They need to understand more about who they are, their identity. That's what I'm trying to say with my speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylin, for the answer. That is very good one. Um, I think that will be the end of the speech session. For the last participants already delivered their speech. So that means we can go to the next session, Safa.
Okay, thank you so much. So all the 6 finalists have delivered their speeches, and honestly, it was very, very engaging, and I think they did very, very well. Even though the motions, I think, are quite challenging as well from the committee, but they delivered, the pro and con arguments very well, and they also answered the judges' questions, who I think are pretty critical, yeah, and quite substantive too. So I think, yeah, all of you, the finalists should be very proud of themselves because you've done amazingly well for the mastery round. And yeah, I think, Michael, you have a little announcement to share.
Okay. So this year's short notice, guys. IRAC 2021 are working together, and we are opening donation for Sokola Institute to help indigenous people, like what Kak Butet already mentioned before. So we are here to help those kind of people. We give more donation to them. Today's donation will close at 4 p.m. So if you want to donate, just go directly to IRAC Instagram. There you can access full informations about the donation and procedure, and you can also see it here, from GoPay or Bank Mandiri. And if you already donate, you can fill the form. We really appreciate all of your contribution to this. So thanks a lot for all of your participations. And I think now we can close the session. Shafa?
Okay, yes, thank you, Michael. I think that is all for the mastery round of the speech competition. Again, congratulations to all of the finalists on completing your performances. And we will see you later at the closing ceremony at 6:15 p.m. Your LOs will share the Zoom link to you. And for the audience who are joining us through YouTube, the closing ceremony will also be live streamed on YouTube. So tune in on IREC's YouTube channel later at 6:15 p.m. So be sure to be back for that. We will have an exciting performance from our guest star. And yes, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you later at the closing ceremony. Good job, everyone.
Good job. Thank you, all of you guys, and good luck. Have a nice break.
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Desta, Gina, Kenny. Dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio, Ilham, Hani. Nah, temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI, Night Shift. Musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Adik Anda sudah saya selamatkan. Nggak punya. Kalau begitu bikin deh. Bang jauh. Terus? Udah malam. So, takut.
Hari gini nggak ada alasan lagi buat rempong bikin rekening tabungan. Download dan buka aplikasi BNI Mobile Banking. Klik daftar. Baca syarat dan ketentuan. Lengkapi data diri, lalu klik selanjutnya. Lakukan selfie, ikuti ekspresi wajah yang diminta, netral, senyum, kaget. Buka tabungan BNI dan tingkatkan transaksi di BNI Mobile Banking nggak pakai nanti.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. Baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, dan susu Belgia yang lembut. Paduan sempurna. Golda Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momenmu dengan Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend Brazilian coffee dari Wings Food.